In today's brief video, I want to share with you guys a really simple piece of advice that I think would have served me exceptionally well when it came to my quitting smoking weed journey. Advice that I think is life-changing. Today's video and a lot of the content in it is based on the book Rational Recovery by Jack Trimpey, and I put a link to that book in the video description. If you wind up enjoying today's video, be sure to check out the pinned comment to learn more about our free and paid addiction mindset recovery coaching program resources. So many times throughout my weed smoking journey and my journey with substance use in general, nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content, addictions that I suffered from, I found myself saying, I'm going to quit. And then I would wind up relapsing. So I would say, okay, I'm going to quit smoking weed. And then a wedding would come up or a holiday party would come up. And I would say, I'm going to quit smoking weed after this party. And I would relapse. Then I would say, okay, that's it. I'm going to clean up my act. I'm done smoking weed. I'm done. I'm done smoking weed. I'm going to quit. And then a stressful event would come up. I would get into an argument with my girlfriend. I would get into a fight with my parents. I would run into a stressful event at work, in my career, in my profession, in my business. And then I would wind up relapsing. I would say, that was too stressful. I can't deal with this. I'm going to go back to smoking weed. Here we go again. I would then once again wake up a week later, a month later, and say, okay, that's it. I'm done with weed. I'm going to quit smoking. And then 3-4 days would go by and the withdrawals would kick in. I would get stomach upset. I would get headache. I would get insomnia. I would start sweating really badly. And I wouldn't feel good. And I would say, you know what? I just can't do this. I can't handle another night of insomnia. And I would go back to smoking weed yet again. I would relapse. And what I came to realize after reading the book Rational Recovery by Jack Trimpey is that what I was saying was I'm going to quit smoking weed. But my actions were I'm going to quit smoking weed unless. I always had an excuse. I always had a subconscious exception to the things that I was saying. Instead of saying I'm going to quit smoking weed, period, I'm done. I was saying, I'm going to quit smoking weed unless a stressful event comes up. I'm going to quit smoking weed unless my girlfriend breaks up with me. I'm going to quit smoking weed unless I have that really awkward, arguably traumatic conversation with my parents that goes back to childhood that's just not a fun conversation to have. I'm going to quit smoking weed unless my job, unless my income starts to get shook. I always had an excuse. I always had an exception. And subconsciously, I wasn't acting out what I was saying. My actions were extremely different from the words that I was speaking. Had I had the mentality of I'm going to quit smoking weed, period, done, no exception, no excuse, no more unless, I arguably think I could have freed myself from this addiction a very long time ago. All it was a simple shift in mindset, a simple shift in language, and a better recognition of my actions that could have led to me accomplishing that, which is a lot of what Jack Trimpey's book, Rational Recovery, helped me realize. Once I started to make this shift in language and this shift in mindset and mentality, everything changed for me. And suddenly, quitting smoking weed went from a process that was scary and somewhat agonizing to a process that was truly liberating. If you're quitting smoking weed, but you always have that exception, that excuse, that unless, in the back of your mind, there's always that fear, there's always that anxiety, and there's always going to be that stress of I might go back to this one day. What if this happens? What if that happens? I might go back to smoking. And if you're anything like me and you've really struggled with addiction to this substance, that's a truly terrifying thought. Once I learned from Jack Trimpey's book, Rational Recovery, that I didn't have to have that language in my sobriety and recovery process, quitting became liberating. Once I removed the excuses, once I removed the exceptions, once I removed the word unless, and once I was 100% confident that I was done, hell or high water, no more, I felt liberated because now there was no reason for me to go back. There was no exception to the rule. The withdrawals, it didn't matter. I would find a way around them. The stressful situations, it didn't matter. I would find new ways to cope. The peer pressure, it didn't matter because I was sick of being influenced. I wanted to be the person who was influencing. My life changed with this mentality. And once I applied this mindset to quitting smoking weed, I applied it to many other things, including the development and growth of this YouTube channel and this addiction mindset community that we have here on YouTube. I didn't say, oh, I'm going to start making YouTube videos unless it's too hard and I don't get views. Oh, I'm going to start making YouTube videos unless I get demonetized. Oh, I'm going to start making YouTube videos unless insert excuse, insert exception. Once I developed that mentality from quitting substances, I say I'm going to do something and I'm going to do it. It was life-changing. It was life-changing in my career. It was life-changing in my finances. It was life-changing in my relationships. And it was life-changing in the day-to-day commitments that I make to myself. This is one of the things that I think you have an opportunity to get truly excited about when it comes to quitting smoking weed or quitting any substance for that matter. I understand and I fully support the concept of one day at a time. I'm just not going to smoke for today. And for a lot of people, that mantra, that ideology works exceptionally well. So please, by all means, if that's you, continue to use that. Continue to allow that to work with you. But if that doesn't work for you, and you constantly find yourself relapsing, and you constantly find yourself wondering, is today going to be the day I smoke again? Is today going to be the day where life becomes too much and I have to smoke? I would challenge you to adopt the mantra of, I'm quitting smoking weed, period. It doesn't matter the withdrawals. It doesn't matter life's stresses. It doesn't matter life's highs, and it doesn't matter life's lows. I'm quitting smoking weed, and I am standing firm by my decision. No ifs, ands, or buts. And at that moment, I would encourage you, when you make that decision, to take a deep inhale and a deep exhale, because from that moment on, you are free. You are effectively done with this addiction. When you put your mind to something and you are 100% confident that you are going to see that something through, when you have removed all excuses, all barriers, all exceptions, I think that is a truly liberating thing. I really, really mean that from the bottom of my heart. If you found that this is a mindset that you've had flawed throughout your quitting process, I would highly encourage you to download our free 7-step guide to quitting smoking weed today. You can find that in the pinned comment. Or if you don't feel like doing that, follow me right into the next video where I talk a little bit about depression and quitting smoking weed, an extremely important topic. I'll see you guys in one of those two spots.